Do you have sweaty testicles? I sure do.
Mine are dry. Bone dry.
Why is that,
Cut
Brendan?
that. Cut it all. Cut this entire fucking podcast.
24 hours completely wasted.
That's an in-joke that none of you listeners are allowed to be in on. Yeah.
So they've got a lot of faith in it then, for this re-release. The re-release.
What fucking lunatic came up with that idea?
I don't know whether it was Musk, but it was definitely somebody stupid.
Hello, podcast listeners. Welcome and thanks for joining us. You're listening to the Video Game Chat podcast, a fortnightly podcast talking about games, tech, and other nerdy goodness. I'm Geordie, and I'm joined by my co-hosts.
I'm Rob.
I'm Gary.
Deep.
We hope you enjoy this podcast, and please follow us on Twitter at VGC_podcast. And feel free to tweet us with topic recommendations or questions you have for us to answer on the podcast. So guys, how have we been doing since the last episode?
It sounds like Brendan's turned into a robot.
Yeah,
Fuck, I really debated just going beep in response there, but I can't keep this bit going.
You definitely should have gone
It won't really make for good video game chat.
I reckon by maybe the 27th beep, everyone will stop laughing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But maybe the 26th would be the funniest one.
Yeah.
So, Rob, do you want to start? How are you, Rob?
You got a new rabbit?
Yeah, I do have a new rabbit. Yeah, and she's been full of beans and energy, so the past few days I've been pretty much looking after her and making sure she doesn't get into the walls or something.
She doesn't play video games though, so she's useless to this podcast. Moving on.
Pretty much.
Anyway, what about you other two? What have you guys been up to? Gary?
Not a lot as well. It's, still in lockdown and been basically working quite a lot. So haven't had much time to play any games, but yeah, just some games and chilling really when I can.
Nice.
Nothing new to report.
Brendan, how's life over the pond? The little pond?
It's all pretty much semi. I'm nearing the end of my notice period for my current job, so I get to go into my new old job at the end of this week coming.
Fantastic.
It's good.
The light is at the end of the tunnel.
Because it means more video games for you, yes?
Yes,
Less coach travelling, more video games.
exactly right.
When the coaches are back
Which is
up, that
great.
is.
What?
When the coaches are back
Oh,
up. Because
Oh
We
yeah,
won't need to get a coach because he won't be using one anymore, will he?
Standard, the office.
Well, I've not been doing much either. I've been trying to stream and get a semi-normal sleeping pattern. Well, this lockdown has just destroyed my sleeping pattern.
has that
And
been
how's
going?
that going?
Yeah.
It's not been too bad. I've managed to stream 4 days since our last podcast.
We were
Nice.
talking
all
about
right.
the sleeping pattern, Jordan.
Yeah.
Oh, the sleeping pattern. No, that's still fucked.
Yeah, I did notice the last podcast episode went up late.
Yeah, that was
because
I
you
was
were playing
still in
Fallout
bed.
76 until what time?
Yes, I was up until like 4 a.m.
And that
Good day,
probably
Jordan.
gives you quite a good indication of our topic, but that we will cover later on, right?
Yeah.
Yes, but we have some video game news to jump into. Who would like to go ahead with the first topic on the agenda?
Oh, I'll jump in first. They've attempted to revive The Culling yet again. After
Oh, yes.
they brought it out, slowly killed it through their own incompetence, released a sequel that failed so spectacularly badly, they revived the first one out of shame. They killed it again, and now they're bringing it back with a pay-to-play. You buy the game for $5 on Xbox. It's not being re-released on PC yet, for some reason. $5 for the initial game. You get one free game a day, unless you win. And then you have to pay
Jesus.
for individual matches, or you can buy a day's pass or a month or annual pass to keep playing, which is
I've heard the annual pass is 60 quid for a year.
60 quid for a year for a game that's already failed several times.
And that's
That's
on top
Yeah,
of
for
paying
a
the
bit
game.
of context here, The Culling is the Player Unknown Battleground clone with zombies, isn't it? It's
Oh,
just,
no.
It's just a battle royale game with zombies.
No. Wrongo. It was before PUBG, way before. It was one of the early battle royales, and it was mostly melee focused. It was
Okay, well, when you say wrong, I do, of course, just mean they're all the same generic fucking game.
Yeah, pretty much.
You drop in the map
Did you not
shrinks.
listen to our Battle Royale podcast, Brendan?
It did have, God, Brendan. It did have its own unique charm.
How dare
it did
you
have
accuse them of having a lack of variety and diversity?
quite a lot of character to it, to be honest. But it just
I think Robot
They were
Brendan
one
was-
of the first original like Battle Royale games. It had a fun, like quirky announce, like, as if it was like a game that these Battle Royale things were. And it was, heavily melee focused, and they only had like one or two guns, and one of the guns was just like an alarm gun or something.
Yeah, just a tracking dart thing that was just like, I am over here, shoot me, and things like that.
Yeah.
Like as you're running around trying to hide, which drew a lot of attention to you. It was very good for like really fucking people over. But it was good fun at the time. But yeah, they completely broke it with their own stupid additions to the game. I say additions, they actually just removed a lot of things from it, like a lot of the perks and things that you could select, and removed the rock, paper, scissors mechanic to the combat, and just broke it. And now they're bringing it back for a third time when you've got to
And
pay.
this time you get to pay to play.
Yeah. Which is really going to suck when you jump in and you get fucked over initially, like you sometimes do in Battle Royales. So that's going to put a lot of people off. I guarantee that will launch with less than 100 people playing.
I did say on Twitter at the time, shortly after you had revealed this in the chat about the business model, that, and this is me putting it as lightly as possible in my own personal opinion, Zavient or whatever the hell you pronounce that developer team's name, I hope you go bankrupt. I hope your fucking company fails and your product fails, and I hope you have to just completely dissolve in disgrace. Good luck.
Yeah, it's one of those things where they're gonna really struggle trying to get this game played, because you have so many free-to-play games on the Xbox. Oh, you got two of the biggest free-to-play Battle Royale games, Fortnite and Apex Legends.
Yeah.
On the platforms, it's going to be really difficult to actually get players from those places to come and play a game that you can only play once a day. Whereas when you can go on Fortnite or Apex and just constantly play games, and I'm pretty sure they're only single player, aren't they? There's no teams or squads or anything with.
There was duos.
Cullen from what I remember.
I can't remember whether there was anything above that. I don't think so, because it was only like a 16-player game. I think it was quite small player counts, quite. Not small maps, but tight enough for everything to be quite condensed and, quite action-packed maps and rounds, to be honest. There was none of that. I haven't seen a single bloody person this entire fucking match, and now I'm in the last 5.
It seems quite bizarre to me, actually, just on what they're hinging this on. Like, if you think about your mindset when you're playing these sort of games, and I can understand almost the sense of, like, there's a dilemma, there's something that you're taking a risk with, where it's when you're playing it, if you lose that match, you have to pay for the next one. And if you win, that means you win a free game. But it's a bizarre thing, because it's just like constantly being punished. Yeah. If you win, great, you get to play another match, which means maybe you'll get to play another match.
Yeah. There's no real prize. Been some sort of like daily challenge thing, like a daily sort of tiered like knockout thing, until it is literally just the top people, and whoever wins that gets some sort of super big prize at the end of the day. If they'd done something like that as an incentive rather than just give us more fucking money, it might have been interesting, but no, it's literally just a cash grab. But
it's such a weird cash grab as well, because like I totally understand that companies need to make money. They are a business after all. And in-game currencies are quite common. Having pay to skin stuff is quite common now as well, and that earns companies quite a lot of money. But going back to like our gambling kind of topic that we covered before, this business model feels very much like gambling.
But it's like such a redundant one, because there's no payout in the end. Yeah. It's just keep putting your coins into this machine, please.
It feels like the people that are going to play this are the people with parents who have a shit ton of money, or people who have a shit ton of money who just don't care anyway. You have to have a lot of money to play this game to, even attempt to play it, because you have to pay for the game anyway, right? It's like £5 for the game, and then you have to pay £5 to play a match.
Or no, it's not £5 to play a match. I thought it works out at like a couple of quid, but still
a couple of quid
to play a match.
But you've already bought the game technically, but you haven't actually bought it because you get like maybe one game and then you have to pay for another game and then another one.
Yeah, so their maintenance that you get one free match a day is still inherently wrong because you've paid for the game in the first place.
Yeah. I'm just looking up their LinkedIn and God, I hate this so much. Do you want to hear what their ethos is?
Oh yes,
dear.
please.
Xaviant is a self-funded studio comprised of passionate and skilled developers dedicated to one mission. All right, fair enough. Strong start. Dash. Creating AAA games, doubt, that you can, air quotes, feel, not just play.
What?
Yeah, it's
Creating
marketing
AAA
mumbo
games that
jumbo.
you can feel, not just play. What the fuck?
Anyone name me?
Okay, they do make me feel disappointment.
Gary, close down LinkedIn there and let's play a quick game. Can anyone name me any other game that Xaviant has produced?
Oh, I've
The
seen
Culling
that
2.
page.
The Culling and the Culling 2.
No, that doesn't count. Come on.
There is one game that I believe is currently in development, but it's, I mean, what's it called? Oh my God, their fucking website title as well. Xaviant dash, you will feel everything. Oh my God. It's so cringeworthy.
What does that mean? That's so threatening.
I know. The game that they are currently releasing is called Don't Die Minerva. And it looks like a kid-friendly game, which, how much is it? It is £10.29. Oh, it was released last year in December. It's a rogue-lite, spooky game of procedural dungeons and ghosts.
Their entire website is dedicated to Don't Die Minerva.
Not culling. So
So they've got a lot of faith in it then for this re-release.
Yeah, obviously a lot of faith.
The re-release. Cool. That sounds good. Right.
Let's see what the. Oh wait, they have a one article in the culling forum on their website. The culling is no longer available for purchase or download, and online features are no longer supported as of May 15th, 2019. So I assume that's
Only
just
it stayed that way.
Yeah. Christ.
I could flip this. I could flip this and make this work. You know, I will work with Xaviant on this. If we work off the basic system that every match you play, you got to pay about £1 to play it. Obviously, they're keeping the cost low, so people think, "Yeah, it's okay. I'll chuck £1 so I can play a game of this." If Xaviant will pay me £1 per match, maybe I'll play their game. I reckon £1 a match. Yeah, I'd do that.
Yeah.
Would you actually play a match? So just say,
Okay, you called me out there. You know, I don't really care about that game. I probably won't.
I don't know if you'd want to put yourself through that. If we're talking like £5 a match, yeah, you know, £5. What? How long does an average culling match last, Rob? Like 30 minutes?
15 minutes, I think.
15 minutes. Okay, so £5 per 15 minutes. No, that's not bad. As your job.
If you have to win to earn that pound, then no, it's definitely not worth it.
Oh yeah. I mean, the win ratio of that's probably what, like in 1 to 4 matches, if that, probably less.
It's based on any of my background battle royale games. It's not a lot.
And even like this is us talking about getting paid for it. Imagine the reality is that you have to pay to play these matches. What fucking lunatic came up with that idea?
Well, I see. Going back to my point, I reckon it's going to be people with a lot of money that want to play this game as more of like a.
Show how elite you are.
Exactly.
How exclusive you are.
Yeah, basically, like this is an exclusive game. I can afford to play this. You know, I'm really, really good at it as well. So like,
enjoy it in good health.
Yeah. Bully on you. Yeah. I'm so happy that you have so much money to spunk into a game that you're not actually enjoying. It seems like a very odd choice, and I wouldn't. I mean, Christ alive, I've forgotten my fucking words. But if it was a pay to skin option where you have in-game skins and you can just choose to pay whatever you want, that's a pretty good business model. And so many games have done that before. So why not just follow the same like tried and tested method?
Because
I'm
that's
guessing
what they
they just
did
wanna be
last
a bit
time, and it
like-
didn't work out.
Yeah.
But then
But they
again,
do-
last
I'm
time
guessing they're just trying to...
they seem to like tie how they see it is, well, that was what didn't bring us enough money in while we were hosting the Culling Returns or whatever they called it last time, or the Culling Origins or whatever they called it. But the reality is that would have been bringing in the money if the game wasn't shit. Like, if they didn't keep breaking it and completely ruining what was a good formula, but they still haven't seemed to get their heads around that. Like, create a decent core gameplay experience and people will play. That's all you need, but they still haven't quite figured out how they ruined it the first and second times around. So,
I mean, they could probably just release the fucking first draft of the game.
yeah, just
Probably
release the
do
first
far
draft
better.
of the game onto ModDB or something and let modders take it back over and
Oh, but
tweak
they
it
won't
how
make
the
any
community
money from
actually.
that.
Yeah, they won't,
Like-
but they might as well just they're clearly spending their own money on redesigning the base game as it is at the moment over and over again to try and make money. It's only going to be costing them money. They might as well fuck off and try something else.
Yeah.
I got a feeling they're a little bit dead in the water at the moment.
Yep.
Just sort of
Yeah.
trying to stay afloat.
And I
And,
feel like
yeah.
Don't Die Minerva's probably one of those games where they've they've been hired to create the game and not made the game out of their own whim. As artists, I doubt they've solely decided, right, let's really create this game. This is going to be an amazing game. I think someone's probably gone to them and said, look, can you make us a game?
Cool. Well, enough of that.
Mm.
Let's move on to our next little bit of news. Who had the next news segment?
Yeah. So the PS5 has obviously been announced ages ago and announced with all the specs of having was it an SSD or an M2 SSD? I can't quite remember. I think it was an M2. But either way, was it Elon Musk as well who said that the PS5 is going to basically overshadow PCs and laptops, and they're never going to be able to compete with a PS5.
I don't know whether it was Musk, but it was definitely somebody stupid.
Yeah, I can't remember if maybe it wasn't Musk. I like that.
It doesn't matter who that was. That was just a stupid, short-sighted statement.
Yes, but they basically said that, and I believe they're quite high up. And
Compact disc, it'll never catch up.
HD DVD.
My 8-track is already beaten all competitors.
Which is hilarious for anyone who obviously knows how to build or even own a computer, because fucking catch-up consoles, you're not going to be able to beat something that you can easily modify with. Like, the tech is already like a year old once the fucking console's released, so come on. Like, honestly.
I can understand and sympathise with console players to the fact that there are some games there are some games and consoles that handle like graphics and like FPS and that very well. Like, when I first got Red Dead Redemption 2 on the PlayStation 4, or was it PlayStation 3? I can't remember. One of them. I remember thinking, Jesus Christ, this is amazing. And like, when I got it on the PC a year later, and I was struggling to play and like stream it, I was going, hold on, how is this not working? Like, how can my computer, which I've paid twice the amount for, or 3 times the amount for, compared to a PlayStation 4, to not handle these graphics and manage to stream it when a PlayStation 4 could do it just fine? And I can understand why people think, like, obviously this is a lot easier to just go out, buy a console and play. I just prefer playing with a keyboard and mouse to a controller.
Well, you can
Most games.
can
Yeah,
te-
You can just plug in a controller.
yeah, you could plug in
on a PC.
you could plug in a keyboard and mouse into the PlayStation.
You can now, yes.
Also,
for a long time you weren't
I do like the fact that they are going with an M2 SSD for the PS5, which does mean that games are going to load a lot faster, and you can obviously stream a lot higher textures and things, which is good. It's going to be able to be closer par with a decent PC. But at the same time, already with like the PS4, the PS4 Pro, the Xbox One X and things, they already have quite limited hard drive space for the games that are available at the moment. Like Call of Duty Modern Warfare is easily, I think that recently had another 45 gig patch And that's already a large file size game anyway. And I've had a couple of people like on Twitter and things who said they've only got 2 games installed on their Xbox or PS5 at the moment, and that's like Modern Warfare and Red Dead 2. And they've had to uninstall Red Dead 2 just to update Modern Warfare. So when you've got one SSD that's going to be, I'm assuming it's going to be like 256 gig or something, isn't it? And then they'll release a PS5 Plus or something with like a 500 gig SSD at some point.
Call of Duty folder on my PC is 185 gig.
185 gig for Call of Duty. One game. Yeah. You aren't going to be able to install a lot. So that's an issue. That's already going to be a huge problem I see coming up that a lot of people are going to be complaining about.
So I think it's a 825 gigabyte SSD, which I've never heard of before. Never heard of 825.
That is very specific.
Yeah. That'll just be a 1 terabyte SSD, mate.
Yeah, it'll be a terabyte SSD with
OS already pre-installed. Yeah.
It's funny that they're saying that because there's so many companies that say it's 1 terabyte, and it actually isn't. Even like when it's not like full, like when it's completely empty, and you've already got your OS and everything else on your computer, that hard drive is still not 100, like 1 terabyte exactly. Usually like 100 less.
It's just a way for them to sell it as something better than it is.
Exactly.
100%.
It happens all the time with any computer system. You're selling cameras. You'll say that the base memory on the camera is however many gig or megabytes or whatever.
True. But
it's the way
the best way to buy a camera is to get the one with the most megapixels, because that always takes the best pictures.
I will hit you.
I will.
You got him.
Smack your face.
This is it's getting into sore territory for Brendan.
Like, that was a joke. To any of our listeners, that was a joke. Just in case that didn't translate.
Also, I should point out with your earlier comment with regards to Red Dead 2, Jordan, which would be the PlayStation 4 it came out on. It is frame capped at 30 FPS, so of course it's going to look like it's running better when the performance is capped.
Yeah, this is
still like
this is sort of getting away from the news, because we could probably talk about consoles versus PCs quite heavily,
and probably lose about 2/3 of our listeners.
Hardware versus hardware. It's all the same technology, just being rebranded in different ways. There's no point debating about it.
Exactly. It's like whatever you can afford and whatever you prefer, it doesn't really matter.
Exactly that.
Yeah.
But some people prefer to play their games sitting on a couch. Some people prefer sitting on a chair. It doesn't
like
matter.
to hang upside down like a bat.
Or gaffer tape to the ceiling.
I used to do that all the time.
I actually prefer sitting on Rob's lap.
Yeah, it's true. He does. It made a lot of things very awkward when we lived together.
This is definitely getting cut.
Yeah, I'm cutting this shit, Gary. You goddamn animal.
Nah, you got to keep that in.
Just when it starts getting saucy, just bleep it out. It's fine.
Just when Gary talks, I'll just start censoring him at this point.
But yes, also according to PC Gamer, Unreal Engine 5 tech demo is running much better on laptops than PS5, which any of us could have told you, to be honest. But to all the people who are saying that PS5 is going to trump, well, in every sense of the word, trump.
Did any of you actually watch that PS5 demo?
Yeah, I did. It did look very nice. But
it was very good. For a console, it was very good.
But then that demo doesn't show multiple characters in the scene. It doesn't show that many particle effects. You know, there's so
we've seen this every single time.
Yeah, it's literally a 5-minute presentation. Like, good luck stretching all of that out over like a 30 to 50 hour experience sort of thing. Like nobody's going to have time to design levels that are that intricate and things.
Yeah.
And even if you did have the time to design that and do everything as picturesque as feasibly possible, even if you did that plus add in like 2 or 3 NPCs, it just wouldn't run. You know, it's built to be a picturesque demo, and that's that.
Yeah.
You can't get the game to look as good as that with characters and gunfire and, you know, particle effects running everywhere. It's just, you're going to drop so many frames.
It's very much where the consumer awareness needs to come in this sort of thing. Like you're in that period where a new console is coming and it's marketing time. and it needs to be pushed, and they need to sell it, and they need to tell you that it's the next generation. So you will see things like tech demos being hailed as, the PC killer and all the rest of it, and all our games will look this good. Like, they maybe 20, 30 years from now, they will look as incredible as this, and they'll have fully populated worlds. But for now, what you're getting is from the marketing team, so take it with a pinch of salt.
Yes, very much so.
Any other news?
In other news, I have had an email from Kaylee H. Overclockers,
Ooh.
who has told me that she will be emailing me once my package is ready to be sent.
Ooh.
That doesn't really tell us
Which
anything.
doesn't tell me anything. So fingers crossed.
Nice try, Overclockers.
So fingers crossed they will, as of their last email 2 weeks ago, will still have stock by the end of next week.
For those who aren't in the know, this is Jordan referring to the VR headset that he ordered through Overclockers.
They all know. They all listen to
They're
the
all
last episode.
loyal listeners.
Loyal
Yeah,
listeners.
of course.
But if we have any newbies, hello and welcome. Of course.
You will have to prove your loyalty like the rest.
Other news, we also have a Discord now.
Woo!
So, if you guys who do follow us on Twitter and social medias would like to join us there, we have video game news, funny memes, and places to promote your own video game escapades. So if you're a streamer or if you enjoy writing articles or news bits about video games, come and join us. Come and join the chat. And yeah.
Don't
all
forget
for
to
fun.
smash that mute server button.
Yes, and that as well.
And to anyone who's never heard of Discord before, it's basically a community-based app that you can kind of chat to people on. You can get it on your phones. It's also on PC. I'm sure it's probably on Mac as well.
Mm-hmm. And we're using it to record our podcast right now. You can find our Discord in our compiled.social/VGC podcast.
W.
We happened to upon on Steam one weekend that there was a Fallout 76 Wastelanders free weekend on Steam. So we all decided to download it and check it out to see if it was actually any better than when it originally released in 2018. So guys, do we have any first impressions on how we think it was?
I mean,
Should we do a bit of the background here on
yes,
just how bad it was
we
supposed to be?
should.
Yes,
because that was
Yeah.
plagued with
Yes.
issues on release. There were, missing heads, missing torsos, missing textures, glitched out textures, T-posing enemies, it was chaos.
There were no NPCs.
There were no NPCs whatsoever to talk to or anything outside of enemy AI. There was, if 2 nukes were launched at once, the game would crash to desktop. On Xbox and PS4, it would occasionally... You'd end up with an error code that meant you had to reinstall not just the game, but your entire console OS. It's occasionally bricked people's PCs. It was, as far as releases go, as catastrophic as you could imagine. And
On release, Metacritic had its score for PC at 52 out of 100, for PS4 as 53 out of 100, and for Xbox One at 49 out of 100. That's amalgamating all the different reviews from critics. That thing was barely able to get past 50 out of 100.
pretty rough for a AAA game as well.
Yeah, from Bethesda.
From Bethesda. And I think the majority of the problem probably comes to that, Bethesda's games have always been janky as fuck, but they're kind of janky in a charming way. And
Yeah.
we have covered this ever so slightly, like very briefly on previous podcast episodes, that, it's charming on a single player game when you see something bug out and you're like, oh, Bethesda, that's so funny. But put that on an online game and have some sort of competitiveness on it, and it immediately removes all the fun.
Yeah. And normally, the single player is backed up by the fact the rest of it normally works quite well and it's quite good and fleshed out. Whereas on this, you were getting bugginess and a bizarre sort of, from my understanding, you just kind of ran around listening to cassette tapes.
Yep. And reading reading terminals for quests.
Yeah.
which is as a multiplayer game is not very fun when you've got like your like friends shouting down the headset, speaking over the things that you're trying to concentrate on. It just doesn't work.
Ooh, there was also another very fun bug that happened on January the 1st, 2019, where as soon as the date rolled over, none of the nukes would launch because they hadn't actually coded in any other years.
They got hit by their own Y2K bug?
Yeah, pretty much. No nukes could launch because anything after 2018 wasn't programmed into the game.
That's really short-sighted.
That is... It's so specific that I can sort of understand just how that was overlooked.
Yeah.
Because it is just so specific.
And on day one, there was a 50 gig patch. So
a 50 gig patch?
50 gig day one patch, yeah.
Oh, fucking hell.
Yes. Oh.
Just what everybody
this
wanted.
Is like a fine wine.
So I've always been quite like against Fallout 76 from the very beginning because...
just on an ideological principle, yeah. I've always been against it.
I'll agree with Gary as well, because the whole idea of the game being multiplayer but not having NPCs, from my perspective of not ever playing a Fallout game before, that I had the idea, like, I played Skyrim, so I'm taking this on like this is Skyrim but nuclear apocalypse, basically.
Which it basically is.
So I couldn't imagine playing a multiplayer version of Skyrim without there being other non-playable characters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the whole reason behind Fallout 76 being like this big multiplayer sort of survival, having bases, being able to go raiding with each other, would not make sense without having NPCs and quest givers and stuff like that. And just having to read fucking terminals and listen to tapes constantly would just bore the hell out of me, to be honest.
Yeah. There's something like psychological about being face to face in a game, talking to an NPC, and you can see just someone staring back at you. When you're like listening to a holotape or just like a tape deck, constantly, everything that you hear is a tape deck. It's just like, I don't know, something just, it is dull. You know, you want to see people in the game. You want to engage with people in the game. And even if it is exactly the same narrative that you'd be getting on a holotape, just feels slightly better. Don't know if you guys agree with that.
Yeah, I'd agree completely. I think the Skyrim comparison is perfect there. Maybe they had it in their heads, you know, it's the post-apocalyptic scenario, so there wouldn't be that many people about, so we can sort of make this work. If you put it into Skyrim and think running around that map, and it's just empty, and all you're doing is reading letters, it sounds farcical, and that's basically what they got with Fallout 76.
Well, even for people who've played Fallout 4, imagine going to Diamond City, but you know, there's no NPCs. There's like one or two robots that are the traders, and that's that. Like, what the fuck? There's no lore building. There's like, I get the idea. Yeah, maybe like it's only 30 years after the bombs fell or whatever it is, and there aren't that many people out there. Okay, cool. In concept, yeah, that I get it, but as a game, it's not that fun.
But thankfully, they've learned their lesson.
Yes.
Yeah. Taken them 2 years, or nearly 2 years. But yeah, I feel that after playing it the other day, or after I've not played it before.
Well, it's your first
the Wastelanders
game
update. But I feel like it was quite a good game. And yeah, I'm really enjoying it, especially like the base building side of things. And I don't know about you guys. Don't know what you guys enjoy. And
yeah, I've the Fallout experience translates really well to a co-op sort of game. Like, that's something that, like, me and Gary have been waiting for Skyrim together for fucking ages, because, like, Skyrim as a co-op experience would be really good fun. Just being able to do the same quests and everything, that same adventure and everything, and looting and finding rare gear and things, but with a buddy by your side who's potentially specs out in a different way. So I could be like your classic stealth archer, and Gary could be some sort of magic mage dude specializing in destruction spells or something.
Some magic pack mule.
Yes, pretty much. Strength 100 mage. Like, but no goddamn reason. Yeah,
I don't know what you're talking about.
And being able to jump into the Fallout universe in what our initial impressions of the map were also like, it's really gorgeous. Like that start area that you step out into, that lush sort of forest valley. It's one of the nicest environments I've seen in a Fallout game. Forever, really.
Forever,
It's not just brown.
You have been spoiled jumping directly into Fallout 76. Even in just terms of like aesthetics, the map is... It's just not brown. It's nice.
Yeah, there's a diversity to it as well. So it's not just, that it looks nice and the whole thing's the same sort of climate and all. They vary the terrain, they vary the architecture. It all has a good mix to it.
Yeah.
And it's like, I think it's something like 4 or 5 times bigger than the actual Fallout 4 map. So it is gigantic as well.
Yeah.
I was going to say something as well. When Rob says, this being my first Fallout game as well, Rob says you come out of the vault and there's a lush forest. I sort of looked at the forest when I first joined and went, yeah, you can tell that bombs hit this place.
Well, okay.
Like, it's not, I wouldn't call it a lush forest. I'd call it a forest. Yeah, it's still quite dead and looks like it's been nuked. But
I think
we'll have to fire you up Fallout 4 or Fallout 3, Geordie, and you'll be like, yeah, that was a forest. That was a lush forest.
A lush forest, yeah.
I don't recall. I think I've only seen, the last time I saw leaves in a Fallout game was New Vegas, and in one place.
They were brown.
they were brown.
I mean, in Fallout 4, you had the leaves, and they were green for the first 5 minutes of the game.
Oh, yeah. Spoilers.
Spoilers. Sorry.
Yeah. Spoiler alert, there's nukes involved.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert, more happens.
I have seen a little bit of a playthrough of Fallout 4 previously to playing this, so I do know what you mean by that joke.
Yeah.
Was that from a YouTuber, perchance?
Someone, yes.
I'll have no promoting of YouTubers on this podcast.
Not even us. Anyway.
Who's that? Cox Robney off the tube use.
Robney? Anyway, I think the only thing that I've really run into that's been an issue so far, outside of just the ammo having weight and you end up like completely over encumbered when you complete quests, because it's like, here, have some shit, here's some iron, here's some this, that and the other, and it's all got weight, and you're like, okay, now I've got to limp to the nearest stash box or something, or scrap thing. Outside of that, the only thing that I've found annoying is the party quest system is not like your standard MMO. It's not like you've all grouped up, assigned to the same quest, and you all complete it together. You'll complete it, but it'll be one of you at a time. And then the rest of you have to follow exactly the same steps throughout the quest to then complete that quest yourself while in a group. It's not the most intuitive system.
It's almost misleading as well, because the feature that works on that for people who haven't played it yet is that you will head up to sort of interior environments and you'll be at the door outside and you'll get an option to enter alone or to join your team leader. So the team leader becomes the party lead on things. And if the party leader has gone in and you choose to join them, you can join their instance and help them complete the quest. And the moment it's done, you're back outside and it's time for you to go in as the party leader.
Yeah.
And you have to do it again and again and again.
Which does make things quite repetitive, especially for some of the longer quests where there's going to be obviously quite a few stages of that. So I'm hoping that's something they're able to work on, really, because as it stands, it's not an ideal game mechanic.
No, it'd be nice if they fix that, because like you said, it just gets a little bit repetitive. And if you're kind of just not really that bothered by what you're doing and you just want to just chill with your mates and, you're happy to repeat the quest like three more times, it's not too bad. But, if you're trying to do it for progression's sake, then you're not going to get very far in that way as a team.
Yeah, I feel like it would become a lot more fun for us once we are sort of level 100 or whatever. We're maxed out on stats and things that we can do. And we've essentially done a lot of like the main quest lines, and it's just us picking up sort of radiant quests and doing event ones and trying to trigger like spawning of like larger, higher end legendary bosses and things, that us fucking about in that regard, where we don't really have to keep repeating stuff, but it's going to be then sort of the end game sort of stuff where we can actually just go, right, we want to do this, we want to do this, we want to launch the nuke and get, you know, the massive Scorch Beast, kill that and get some sweet loot for ourselves, that sort of thing. That's when it's going to be a lot more fluid, but until then, we're all hit with this sort of repetitive system, which is why, like, a lot of us have been jumping on our own at times as well, just to get shit done. Yeah. Without having everybody else need to repeat it with us as well, which sort of takes away from the experience. But at the same 100%. Time, it is still quite a good, fun Fallout game, as it is. Mean, so it's not that big a deal.
I think the problem that I've found so far is just my own wrongdoings, and that I am a hoarder, and I will hoard absolutely fucking everything. And your base can only hold so much, and your person can only hold so much. So I am stuck constantly in a cycle of trying to get rid of all the stuff that I don't need, and because I pick everything up. It's probably a problem.
When it comes to crafting, it's not that big a deal, because you do need everything that you can get your hands on.
You do, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's where the habit sort of comes from, because picking up junk, basically the mechanic, if you haven't played a recent Fallout game or this current one, is that you can pick up random items throughout the world, things like desk fans and things like that, and scrap them to get parts out of them. And then using those parts, you can use them to upgrade your guns, build new guns, or build parts for your base. And as a result, it's good to keep a nice big backpack full of that stuff, so you can build up a supply and build nicer stuff. But some people are very bad at doing their inventory management and end up just filling their bag with every fucking ashtray they encounter.
Got a smoking problem. Need them ashtrays. Got a hoarding problem. Got a gambling problem.
The fundamentals of that mechanic all work perfectly. There is a good, healthy supply of loot. Every environment you go into has a good sort of variety of things that you can pick up and loot and scrap and build into other things. And certainly we all seem to have benefited. Well, I'm not sure about Rob yet, but myself, Jordan, and Gary all have very healthy-looking bases now. And the base building mechanic is fantastic.
It's something I definitely need to work on.
Well, don't worry, Rob. I just relocated mine and destroyed my entire structure, so you're not that far behind me now. But the camp system, as we're talking about it, is really fucking good.
Yeah, I like it. It's a refined version of Fallout 4's settlement thing,
exactly,
where you don't have to worry about all the many NPCs. You just get to build a nice little house for yourself.
What I like about it is that you can put it anywhere, and you can fast travel to it for free. So the map, like we said, is massive. So you have to pay in-game currency kind of caps that you get. You know, the caps, which can you buy caps with real money?
No, you're not. You can't. These are separate from microtransactions. So there's caps, and then there's atoms. Atoms are used for purely cosmetic things.
That's it. So the caps are like just, in-game coins. And you use those to fast travel, probably to prevent you from fast traveling too much, I guess, and try and explore most of the world. But, none of us are in any issue of running out of caps. You get thousands of them quite.
I am.
Oh, really?
I don't sell enough stuff to earn caps.
I haven't sold anything.
I literally, all the stuff I sell, I end up using to buy more parts to build a better base. Yeah. I've literally gone all in on the base building and sort of done all that. But yeah, and also the encampments as well. Once you lose an encampment, you have to set another one back up to use your stuff at that encampment again. You don't get all the materials back if someone else steals it, basically.
Yeah, what Jordan's talking about there is on the map, there are basically you've got your own camp that you can set up, but there are also set piece ones, which are normally in a big landmark, like as Jordan found out today, a nuclear power plant. And you're able to seize those and build defenses. And the idea is that you and your mates can defend that on the map against players and NPCs. There'll be waves of attacks, but obviously that is its own distinct thing. That is an event rather than your own personal camp.
So when you have like shit tons of junk, you can. It's more of like an end game thing, I believe. These camps where you have like endless supplies that you can just burn into it, and it doesn't really matter too much for you because you're like rank 100 and you could do whatever you want. But we've done a couple of these, and they're really fun. You know, setting up like a temporary base. Yeah, it burns through your junk, but it's quite nice to fight off the waves.
Yeah, it's a nice little condensed bit of like action.
The thing I like about it as well is the fact that you can basically set up turrets at the campsite, so that even when you're not there, the turrets will kill the waves for you. So as long as you go there, capture it, and set up enough turrets and build enough stuff there to protect it, it'll just constantly, every time there's an event there, give you more and more stuff. You'll constantly get caps rewarded and stuff gifted to you from completing those missions, even if you're off doing your normal missions elsewhere. It's sort of like a nice little money maker, and you can also set up like, there's normally like a couple of like ore deposits or stuff where you can like mine uranium and stuff like that. And it's just a nice way of sort of gaining more stuff, earning more money to get caps and stuff, I assume.
Yeah.
That's it. Like at its most fundamental level, it is a solid Fallout game. Like I've played pretty much every single one of them now, and it's as good as any of the rest of them. It's better than Fallout 4, I feel, in a lot of ways. They've fixed a couple of the quirks of the gameplay and the gunplay, so it does feel very good. And I think just from the negative feedback that came from its first launch, it was pleasantly surprising.
Yeah, I mean, we all obviously heard the negative criticism of it, and from what I saw from the beta footage and like the pre-release footage, it was pretty bad. I'm not going to lie, it was ropey to say the least. And another part that I wasn't such a fan of, and I still am not a massive fan of, is well, I tell a lie, I'm not a fan of it at all, is VATS in Fallout 76. It's in Fallout 3, Fallout 4, I assume New Vegas as well, VATS was pretty much essential because you could, if you were playing with guns anyway. I mean, it was for me because I played on consoles, so like the aiming was pretty rough. But on PC, on 76, it feels a bit arbitrary and unnecessary. If you're a good shot, the only reason it really gives you is criticals, which I don't know. It feels like using an aimbot in a game, and I don't really like that. Do you guys use VATS or?
Very rarely.
Yeah, very rarely.
Used it more in the older ones, but on this one, it plays better just to use your manual aiming.
Yeah,
Is that the slow-mo thing?
Yeah, it's supposed to be slow-mo in most Fallouts. It slows time and lets you target individual body parts, whereas in this, it just slows... Well, it doesn't even slow time. It gives you a chance to hit something, and you shoot. That's pretty much it.
I think if they did that, like you mentioned before, Rob, if they did the
max pain-free system, exactly, where you turn it on, it activates the slowdown time. If somebody's looking at you or the enemy affected by slowdown time, it slows time for you as well. And anybody outside of those bubbles, completely unaffected. That could work, but again, let's face it, the Fallout engine what's the engine called? It's Creation Engine or something, isn't it? I can't remember. I'm just
something
googling
like that,
it now. Creation Engine. The Creation Engine is, let's face it, a janky piece of shit as it is. So I don't think they'd ever get that working, to be honest.
I mean, they could. Like, it would be very rough and ready sort of patch to it. Like they could probably do like an orb. Whenever you press like the VATS button, it creates an orb around you, an invisible one, but anyone that's inside that orb or in that radius slows down. So they could technically do it. I'm sure they could. Like, I'm not going to say that the engine can hold up to it. It would just, I think, from a I don't know, from like a practical point of view, I think they probably decided against doing that. Probably because they didn't think it would work, because it would either be the whole server goes slow-mo, or in a localized area it goes slow-mo. And if you're in a localized area and you're just outside of that and everything's still going fast, it would be a bit, I don't know. There's complications to it, and I don't know what the solution would be.
I think it's just the case of like they've got the gunplay enough in it at the moment that it plays pretty well, that it doesn't matter all that much. I think they'll survive. With the way that it currently is, it's a bit shit, and it's just basically a lock-on thing, and you run around and maybe your shots will land, maybe they won't. The rest of it, if you're just using the standard gunplay, plays well.
Yeah, I kind of feel like they should have just removed it.
Mm.
And that to me is like the, Fallout has always had VATS as its like USP, and no other game really does that. So for them, I guess they're quite precious and they want to keep it in because it is the USP, but it isn't VATS as we know it. So it's kind of, in lore as well, technically the Pip-Boy, I guess, doesn't even exist in this current, or the type of Pip-Boy that has VATS, I think, doesn't exist in this time period. I'm not entirely sure. Maybe I'm wrong with that, but just remove it.
Yeah, I have no idea what VATS is. I've never used it, and probably won't even use it.
You don't need to.
Actually, this is an element with regards to you only playing this for the first time as a franchise, Jordan. How do you what are your thoughts on the universe, the world, the Fallout 7 or the Fallout vibe?
The world was good. I feel it's definitely a game for someone who is coming back to a franchise, as that is something I've not been introduced to.
Yeah, there's very little in the way of actual straight up teaching you the game, to be fair, is there?
Yeah.
Mm.
That's a good point.
I can understand that caps was a currency when I joined. I now know that old war money doesn't really have a value other than just for like trading
or
and
cloth.
Scrapping. Yeah. But it could do with having a little bit of more, I know because some people don't really like it, but a bit more babying. But then I don't really want to just make it. For someone who's playing it for the first time, it would need it. Like maybe you're just having a little thing at the start of the game saying, "Have you experienced a Fallout before?
Yeah. Have you played Fallout 3 or 4? No. Okay, cool. Let's show you the ropes."
Yeah, and they do have the perfect setup for it. Because you start in the vault, as with the other games, you get your training session within the vault, and then you go out into the wide world.
Yeah, they didn't actually do that, because in 3 and 4, you have that kind of like, oh, let's kill the rad roaches in this vault. Oh, introduce you to the gun
here's how the special cards work.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I've literally had no idea, like, the whole special thing. It's funny that I only understand what special means as done by a musical YouTuber, and that's the only reason why I know what they all mean and how it sort of works. But I don't really understand much of like what I need to put points into, what each one does, other than what it shows you when you get your first like little pack to open when you level up.
Yeah, like the first time around, it becomes abundantly clear. It's just like a role-playing game setup where it is, here's your core sort of skills and you can level them up. But it's just like if you're hit with all those various perks and things like that the first time around with no explanation, I've no idea the level of panic that would cause.
Yeah, I was like, it's like trading cards.
To be fair,
it's like Pokemon.
I think the system that they built for Special in 76 is much more user friendly than in 4. Like,
oh, definitely,
Geordie. If you saw the Fallout 4 perk tree, you'd be like, "What the fuck? Like, what do I pick?" It's even complicated for someone playing Fallout a lot. It's the only similarity I can draw to it is the Skyrim skill tree.
Yeah.
It's similar. It's similar to that, but imagine all those perks are now on one level.
It's just like on a poster, sort of thing.
Yeah,
I can understand. Yeah,
it's quite overwhelming, and it was a bit irritating because when I'd go into 4, not 76, but on Fallout 4, if you want to try and find a particular perk, you'd have to fucking scrub through about 10 before you find the one that you want.
Aye, this one's a lot more simplified.
Yeah, and
I got the whole like leveling up of the cards and all that. That was quite easy to learn. Like you just see, oh look, this one's got 2 stars. This one's got 3 stars. If you combine a 1 star and a 1 star together, you make a 2-star one, and it increases the percentages and stuff. And it was, it's easy enough to get used to. But if you're just thrown in at the deep end with it, it's sort of a little bit of like, okay, I've got to spend a little bit of time choosing what each one of these does. And I know that you can go in and change your perks at certain times as well. And
yeah, I think there's a wider part to this with just a lot of game franchises are going to be putting out sequels to an established sort of thing. And it is just a courtesy for the fact there are going to be young people, there are even going to be old people that are playing your franchise for the first time with your latest installment. And it does you no harm to put in something where they go, welcome to the game. This is how this works. Have fun. Or
welcome to the game. Have you played one of our games before? If no, then...
exactly, yeah.
You know, because like, yeah, I didn't even consider that, Geordie, because obviously myself, Rob, and Brendan have all played it. Yeah, because we just went through and we were like, oh, fucking skip through all this bullshit at the start. You know, all right, cool, you get a camp, all right, whatever. All right, pick this up, pick that up, fuck off. You know, we've done it like at least 2 times before. You guys have done it 3 times before with New Vegas. So it's just like, all right, fucking hell. Just tell me what the controls are, because I've never used it on a keyboard before. Okay, got it, right, done. But yeah, at least Fallout 3 and Fallout 4 did introduce you relatively slowly. Like they were about an hour into before you even got out into the fucking world. It was very much like Skyrim. The intro there is, that's about an hour where you got to go through Helgen.
Yeah, it does. I suppose to a certain extent, 76 tries to do this in a less pointed manner, where it does the quest line to teach you some core mechanics, but it's not done in the way, like with Skyrim, you know what's happening, you know that you're getting this tutorial. On 76, you're kind of dumped in and you can just go in whatever direction, which is quite good. Like I quite enjoy a bit of freedom in RPGs, but if you're not being given any sort of pointed tutorial at the start, you're kind of just left on your own luck to maybe find out some of this stuff.
Oh, yeah, I have that happened to me on Oblivion. As soon as I stepped out of the jail, no idea where I was, no idea what to do. But that was my first experience of an RPG.
Yeah,
and Fallout 4 was very it was very user friendly. Fallout 4. Yeah, I think it removed a bit of the
actual
edge.
Role playing side of the role playing game.
Yeah, and it also put you in the very top left of the map, so that your obvious intuition just went, right, I've got to go towards southwest. Right. Sorry, southeast, yeah. Whereas on this, it's very similar to Fallout 3, and you spawn in the middle of the map, more or less, and you're like, well, all right, where do I go? Which is good. I quite like that, though. It's less hand-holdy, but...
That being said, the intuition still sort of kicks in from, I would just say, not just role-playing games, but the general rules of any sort of fantasy map, where you spawn in the nice sort of green leafy middle area for your starting zone, and over to the east are the blasted lands, which you can pretty much guarantee are going to be the high-level end game area.
Yeah, I mean, this is like, I played World of Warcraft before, and I played RuneScape, so they're my like ventures into MMOs, and this is like, it is like a good version of Fallout for an MMO. It works. Todd Howard would say it just works.
It just works. Yeah, like I'd say the multiplayer aspect of it benefits a bit from kind of a better version of what we saw with Red Dead Online, where yes, there's other players on the map and you can encounter them and party up if you need to, but generally they just kind of leave you alone. So you can pretty much play the game alone if you want to, or just with your team, and not have to worry about some prick coming over and fucking shooting you.
Yeah, definitely.
And everyone waves back, I've found.
Yeah, everyone's pretty chill.
I agree, other than that very first guy on the first day.
The one guy who tried to nuke Gary straight off the bat.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And then
everyone's been
we destroyed him, and then he came back with that super high damage laser rifle or something that just kept killing us all within a second. So we were having no fun
and
there.
One guy out of the many hours we've played on it so far is a pretty good rate compared against, for example, and not victimizing any particular games, GTA Online, where every single gaming experience is just a lobby full of hackers that constantly kill you.
I mean, I think that a lot of the hackers probably haven't jumped onto 76 yet because to them it's a waste of time because it's a shit game in their eyes.
Yeah.
So maybe they will start pouring in now that there was that free week, and now that the reviews are more or less mostly positive. And going back to GTA as well, given that Rockstar have quite a considerable amount more money than Bethesda, and have had multiple experiences of creating a multiplayer, massive lobby game. But somehow, Bethesda have made the lobbying system fucking perfect, more or less.
It's magnificent. Other than that twitchy sidebar thing for connecting to things. I start the game, and if I'm in a team, I click play and I go straight into the team.
Yeah.
There's no random dropping into single player. There's none of that shit of getting put into random other servers.
20 minutes.
It just works.
Yeah, there's no 20-minute load time while you wait, and then all of a sudden it kicks you to single player, and then you got to reload that fucking 20-minute loading screen. As much as I love games like GTA, but fucking hell, how is Bethesda only made one other online game, which was Elder Scrolls Online, managed to make a fucking lobby system that surpasses AAA titles. That to me is fair play. You managed to do that.
Yeah.
That's cool.
This is where collaboration should come in. Rockstar should get in touch with them and just say, please show us how you did that.
And then Rockstar can show them how to release a game on launch.
So these guys are called non-playable characters. They populate your world.
Have you heard?
I completely forgot about how they did Elder Scrolls Online as well, which makes me think in the back of my mind, how have they not decided to implement the whole system with completing your missions as a team when Elder Scrolls Online lets you do that completely fine?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's a weird sort of juxtaposition between the two, because I was somewhat cynical about how Fallout 76 was going to be, purely because I played Elder Scrolls Online and it felt too much like an MMO along the lines of Warcraft or Lord of the Rings Online for me to really enjoy it in comparison to normal Bethesda games. And yet Fallout 76 did the whole gameplay thing perfectly and managed to fuck up the fundamental MMO aspect of it when it comes to doing group quests.
Yeah.
Was that a decision in a meeting where they were just like, here, we should allow people to team up? Oh yeah, like parties from Elder Scrolls. Exactly
right. And
but they can do missions together. And it's like, no, hang on, Stan. No, they can't do missions together.
They can help their leader do a mission.
I would like to know if we are getting this wrong, if you can actually do
please,
this.
I hope so.
Yeah, if any of our listeners are listening and they play Fallout 76 and they're like, what the fuck are they talking about? Let us know, please, because we really want to.
It's an option in settings. What's wrong with you guys?
Because honestly, it to us it seems like basic shit that should be in an online massively multiplayer online game, and
yeah. That's it. It makes me paranoid. We must have missed something at some point, because it is bizarre that would be a feature.
Yeah. I mean, the only other game that I can draw parallels to is when Rob and I played Far Cry 5 together. And fantastic multiplayer game. Co-op works like an absolute dream. But problem is, all the progress you do is on one person's save. So...
because we played, I think it was 8 hours of on one of us, and we were like, cool, we've hit the point where, I can unlock this next tier of weapons from defeating this one guy in this one area. And then we were like, right, cool, Gary, can you? And he was like, no, I can't equip him. And we went, okay, let's load into your game. You host it and see whether it works that way. And nope,
restart,
because it's tied to my save sort of thing. So we had to jump between one and the other. Although we did manage to sort of approach everything in each save quite differently.
Yeah,
Like-
I guess that's like the benefit, because maybe it's a replayability thing. Who knows? Maybe you play through it once with your team and you're like, okay, cool. Now I get to play it my way and I'm not affecting my save. Maybe
Yeah.
it's that.
Although I feel with Far Cry, it was obviously a lot more open-ended, and being tied to one save at a time meant, it was this, like, there was a time investment in that, and then you'd approach it a different way altogether. Like, you'd approach the map completely differently. Like, me and you on, like, when we jumped into your game, we took, like, that plane and crashed it into that giant fucking statue of, was it Joseph Seed?
Joseph Seed, which you can find on my YouTube channel, actually.
Yeah, you can. Plug. And
Plug.
whereas in mine, we then later got round to that and like attacked it on foot or something, but much later on than we did with you. And, so that was fun to do, because again, it wasn't like, right, okay, and now we're going to redo exactly that again exactly the same way, just so you can have that objective ticked off, which is not as fun when it comes to Fallout 76. So,
yeah.
Just had a little quick search up as well. Found a guide about the party system for quests. And yeah, it is based on the fact that the party leader is the person who is doing the quest. You are just helping them complete it. And then to unlock it yourself or do it yourself, you just have to be the party leader and then go in and do it again.
Yeah. Solo, but together.
Yeah, that's the whole thing that they've recommended.
Thanks, listeners. Appreciate it.
Yeah, that was really quick.
Yeah. So if we just took all of, like, I bet you were like currently writing a really like, it's really fucking frustrating. Yeah, you have to do this, and now we've taken that away from you. Very sorry.
Well, unless there is something new that you don't know about.
When this is released, maybe it's been fixed.
Maybe.
Or maybe they'll just release team questing behind a paywall.
Yeah, Fallout first.
If you buy Fallout first for £12 a month, you too can play with your friends.
I want to play with you too.
It is £12 a month. Yes, $11.99 for Fallout first. I remember getting a membership on RuneScape when I was younger, and you got 70 times the content for £3 a month.
What's the deal with the Battle Royale thing as well? Is that a paywall behind that as well?
No, I think it's just a new game mode they patched in, but I cannot be fucked with it. Let's face it.
I'd like to give it a go, just to give it a try.
All right, have fun with that.
What year do you reckon the Battle Royale thing will die? Like,
never.
The zombie survival thing has kind of died off now. When do you reckon Battle Royale will finally fuck off so we can get the next thing out?
I think
Battle Royale, I think, is too much of a casual game for casual gamers that I don't think it will ever die out.
I agree.
I'm not sure whether casual gamer works for that.
Yeah.
Like,
Fallout. No, Fallout. Fucking Fortnite.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like, if you think about the community that Fortnite attracts, people are playing that every fucking day religiously for hours on end.
But so are people casually. Some people will jump on and play 1 or 2 games before they go to bed. Like my mate Jack, he's got 2 kids now. He'll go and play a few games when the missus is taking the kids to bed. He plays a few games, he goes to bed. Like, he's a casual gamer, but he will do that once a day, play like 2 games of Fortnite or 2 games of Warzone. I wouldn't say call him a proper gamer, but he casually plays the odd Battle Royale game every now and then.
But that's more about the person and what they choose to play than the game itself. But like, if you think about, I can think of any number of colleagues from workplaces who aren't like all out. They're not goddamn no-lifers like us. They'll play things like Fallout, hop on, do a couple of hours in Fallout and continue on. And like, I don't think you'd describe all of them as casual games. I think it's more just like how someone approaches playing that game.
No, I'd say Battle Royale games are casual games.
I have no love for Battle Royale games.
I think like what Jordy's trying to say is that Battle Royale kind of lends itself to the casual gamers because you have like set limit windows where it's like, this is a 15-minute match. I can jump in for 2 or 3, and then I've done that. That's my game. Civ, on the other hand, like as we've seen Geordie. He's got to spend fucking 6-7 days worth of sessions.
Our last Civ 5 game lasted 6 sessions, which were all 5 hours long. All right.
So that's a hardcore game. Something like Call of Duty, something like Fortnite. Hell, even Fallout 76 could be a casual game if it's how you approach it. Well, I think
if you do a mission a day,
for another episode.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, definitely. Casual games versus hardcore games.
The one that's now stuck in my head now is what is the Venn diagram of esports and casual games? But let's just box that for now and get back into
let's just park
nuclear
that.
wasteland. Let's just put that little pin in that little tasty morsel and we'll come back to it.
Yeah.
So, most importantly, Jody, even though we have covered it, are you enjoying it?
Yes, it is a good game. We should get a time machine, go back to 2018, slap Todd Howard in the face and say, release this now, not 2 years later.
Yeah, I think that's I can see.
Then they might have got 50 quid out of me for the game.
Well, exactly. I can see how I would have been fucking livid if I spent 55 quid on what came out in 2018. I would have been so disappointed. Thankfully,
I wouldn't have paid the 15 quid that we paid a couple of weeks ago for the game.
Same.
That originally came out.
Yeah, that would have been all right.
I think it speaks to how bad that initial launch and reception was, that the only way you could get us to try it was when they put it up for free.
Yeah.
Even when we were hearing that, it was fixed and it's actually pretty good now, it was like, but when it's free, maybe we'll check it out.
Yeah, we were so skeptical. Even when everyone, like Brendan said, everyone is saying Wastelanders has fixed Fallout, and we were like,
debatable.
I was sighing and going, I'm going to have to install this thing and then fucking uninstall it, aren't I?
And then just look at us now. We've probably spent like a good 20 hours, if not more, on the game already. And
I got the achievement earlier today. Spend 24 hours in the Wasteland.
Yeah,
Christ alive.
So we've already and we probably when did that came out? That came out last weekend. So in a week, literally in a week, we have played 24 hours. And it's pretty good going.
Yeah, it is. I'd recommend it to people. It's genuinely a good Fallout game, good multiplayer game.
I would say, if you find it for about 25 quid, I don't think you'll be disappointed. I think any more, maybe, but it depends on what you want to get out of the game. It is fundamentally a good Fallout game, but
even if you just play it yourself, you're still going to enjoy it.
Yeah. If you play it on your own, you'll probably get more from it than if you play with your mates, because you'll probably delve into the lore a little bit more. Whereas when we're playing online, we just skip through all the text, which is ironic, really, because the things that we wanted in the game were NPCs, and we're skipping through the dialogue.
I can't vote. When I haven't been playing with everyone else, I have been absorbing it in. It's got the same wit, it's got the same depth to the lore. Every single person has their own little life and things like that. But sometimes it's just I want to get the fucking mission done.
When one of the highlights for me so far was when we went into, when Brendan, Geordie, and myself, unfortunately Rob wasn't on, but we went into the Vault Tech University. That storyline is fucking amazing,
fantastic,
and it's
all around like Stanford prison experiment style shit.
Exactly. And it's fundamentally a Fallout Vault Tech storyline, and that's what I love about Fallout. I love the Vault Tech stuff more than anything else, because that's where the darkness really comes in.
One thing I must warn against, though, is there is a mission line that takes you to a location called the Top of the World, and there is a voice actor there who has been and everyone who has played with me has had to listen to my whining about this. Just don't do it. I don't know whether that's the end game mission chain. Just don't bother doing it. It's not worth it.
Who is this voice actor that you despise so much?
I actually looked up the voice actor earlier, and turns out that their other sort of standout performance was in the Netflix series for Boss Baby.
Oh, wow.
Ah.
Yes.
So they're going to be a household name.
Question, I'm not even going to say the name, because there's no point trying to inflict some sort of flame war around this. It's just there's a robot with a really they're good at doing their voice acting. It's excellent voice acting with a really fucking annoying robot.
And I think you've gone through the problem where every time you load in, because you've put off the quest, it continuously plays when you log in.
Yes, that quest is now my priority. I have been steaming through it, and it's a really long quest. I'm happy to report it's a really fucking long one that really just savors having you listen to that fucking person.
So, what about you guys? Have you guys all been enjoying it then?
No, absolutely fucking hating it. 24 hours completely wasted. No, it's really good. It's really, really good.
Yeah.
And
I think this is my first MMO since WoW that I'm gonna seriously invest a bit of time into just to see how far through it I can get.
And I like I love the party system. I think the world is, like, for lack of a better word for a Fallout universe, beautiful. And immersive as well. And I think that the Wastelanders introduction of NPCs and actually helps quite a lot in that regard. But it's very fun.
I think speaking of MMOs, we should have a go at the four of us. Old Republic, it is free, and it is quite decent on the story side and everything, even like without having to get all the expansions and stuff that they've added.
I played it previously. I didn't.
Fair enough. Well, you can.
I think I played it with you, Brandon.
Not play.
Yeah, it was back. Yeah, it would have been a fair few years ago now.
Yeah.
You might have to try and convince me, Rob, after we've done Fallout.
I will do, because like even
the
just
Old
as
Republic suffered from BioWare.
Yeah, but at the same time, it was like quite a few. You know, obviously, both sides had 4 character classes that each had their own like full length story, essentially. And you know,
I might give it another go.
Yeah, quite fun to actually play through. So you know, I'd be tempted to give that another go, because.
To be fair, I enjoy playing with you guys regardless of what game it is, unless it's a really frustrating game. I'll enjoy it. So I'm happy to try whatever, really.
God knows we play some heaps of shit.
Oh, yes.
And as long as we're all on the side of the angels.
On the side of the angels.
That's an in-joke that none of you listeners are allowed to be in on. Yeah.
Well, until Gary releases that video.
Yeah.
What?
I recorded it.
There's a video? Fuck!
You recorded all those sessions.
I recorded all of it.
Fuck!
Oh, mate, it's funny as fuck. Really funny.
It was some good ad-libbing, even if it came at my expense.
Well, hopefully that sees the light of day before too soon. Fuck, brain.
Or too long?
Or too long. And then our listeners will be able to enjoy that in-joke and the humour.
They'll be like,
But for now, you can
that's
fuck
what they were
yourselves.
on about.
5 years later. Well,
84 years.
But at least we're still going in 84 years.
I won't be.
I don't think I will be either.
I have no plans.
My plans they've all expired in 2023.
Anyway, let's work to the end, shall we?
Yeah.
I do have one question, probably to wrap it up.
Go for it.
What would you like to see added or fixed in the future for Fallout 76?
Well, my big one's obviously the group questing system. They need to fix that and allow you to all actually complete the quest at the same time rather than individually, because that will just make it actually far more fun to play through. But that's about it for me, really. Obviously, keep the updates coming, keep more content, and I quite like the like random events that pop up. Just more things like that. Just keep things unique and new, and keep people engaged.
Jody?
Yeah, I think more of the same. Yeah, the questing definitely needs to be put up. Still, maybe a little bit more people who don't really play Fallout. A nice little intro change might be nice. Yeah, other than that, there's not really much I can say that's bad about it. Other than just randomly stumbling onto like really ridiculously high level.
Oh
mobs
god, yeah.
And getting
yesterday while walking around fully over encumbered and trying desperately to walk to Gary's camp to hit a stash, the nearest stash, and drop some stuff off, I stumbled across a level 50 Scorch Beast out of nowhere.
And Rob was level 15 or something?
Yeah, I think level 15 at the time, over encumbered and running low on ammo and in desperate need of fixing the guns that I had got. And it was just a lot of me like limping from cover to cover and the occasional bit of screaming and laughing from Brendan and Gary as they watch my health bar just disappear every like minute and a half.
Very funny.
So, yeah.
I got there just too late. I didn't see this beast, so I don't fully believe Rob.
Oh, no.
I've seen them
it
before.
naffed off and flew over Geordie. Like,
Oh,
Yeah.
I know.
but yeah, it happened.
Brendan?
Honestly, I can't think of anything at the moment. Like, it's early enough in the game, I'd say. Like, I've just hit about level 30 now, that I don't know the full extent of it. So there's plenty of quests to be doing. There's plenty of weapons to be crafting and skills to be learning. I'm happy enough with where I am at the moment. Obviously, the team sort of aspect of questing is the one big one that Rob addressed. But that's about it. Maybe add in a patch that fixes the listing of quests on the right side of the screen there, guys.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure when that went out for release, you were aware that was the thing.
Brendan is getting at when you have probably about 5 quests, it will go off the screen.
It just lists down past the bottom. So there's just a wall of text that occupies the right side of your screen for all eternity.
Quite big. It takes up a lot of the screen. And, you know, I get it. You know, it is a quest, and I would like the option to maybe shrink it a little bit.
Yeah, shrink the HUD text size would be
Or
great.
just condense things to, like, literally just the name of the quest, even. And if you're doing something that's related to it, it will highlight that one.
Yeah, because you can choose to untrack things, which is fine, but it would also be good just to have an ability where the markers will remain on the map for you, as they do when you untrack them, but you can still sort of keep your quest log handy whenever you need it without it taking up your entire goddamn screen.
Maybe
It's just a bizarre level of it that it takes up.
Maybe because I like the UI in general. I think the scale of it is good. And I would like to see an option for not just like shrink it, but an option for accessibility options, so that you can choose the size of particular elements so that it fits your particular playstyle or your requirements to play a game. That's for me, like that. The list on the far right is just so much, especially early game when you're running around trying to pick up quests after quests and you're completing them, but you're getting like 5 quests in one go. It's just a bit overwhelming. And I know that's an MMO. I know that. I know it's an RPG as well. It's just part of it's like a wall. It is literally a wall of text.
Yeah.
Aside from that, like you guys have said it already.
All very good.
The team thing, I would like to see fixed, but and the odd like disconnect issues, the odd crash. But to be honest, it's a Bethesda game. That's going to happen regardless, even if it was online or not. So
Yeah, still less crashes than a Rockstar server.
yeah, and I got to say that the fucking I know we said it before, but the lobbying system is just perfect for that. We've had such bad issues, such negative issues with certain games before, and it just that was like the one thing that I wasn't expecting to work actually worked.
Yeah, you can tell that it's obviously that good that it is remarkable. We are literally remarking upon a very specific function about joining your friends in the game.
Yeah, every game should just be like that. Do you know what I mean? Like it's like
it should be the expected standard.
Yeah.
What are we saying? Out of 5 stars, what do we rate it?
Oof. That's
Brendan?
I'd say 4.
Yeah. 3, 4.
Um,
It's a solid experience. It's nothing mind-blowing, but it is good fun. Far from perfect, but it is good fun.
Don't really like star systems because it's always subjective. I would say if you enjoy Fallout and you're not adverse to trying something different, like an online version of it, the people online are pretty friendly. They're not complete assholes as of yet. So, the high-level players tend to help you out, even if you're low-level. Found that. So
yeah, I ran into one guy earlier when I logged in with you guys and was immediately greeted by one dude who just gave me 100 stim packs. So,
oh shit!
Oh, wow,
that's good.
So, yeah,
I think if you can find if you're like a not an avid fan, because if you're an avid fan, you probably already own it. But if you're like into Fallout, I would say give it a go. It is a Fallout.
I wouldn't even say if you're into Fallout. I'd say if you're into survival games and you have a crew and you have a little group of friends, or you enjoy playing MMOs or like questy sort of games on your own, I definitely recommend it.
I recommend it as well. I think it's fun. The fact that we have played so many hours in such a short amount of space of time probably leans towards we are thoroughly enjoying it.
That's 4 big thumbs up from the VGC podcast, that is.
Oh my god, Rob, you should insert the noise that the Vault Dweller Pip-Boy does, where it's like bloop.
That might be copyright. Don't do that.
Oh yeah, probably. All right, we'll just do our own. Boop, 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 boop.
And we'll all end this podcast by singing Country Roads.
Copyright. Take me to court.
Before we round up the podcast and end it there, we've got a couple of questions I tweeted out earlier just before we started the podcast to see if we had any questions from anyone who was listening. And Dan has tweeted us and says, Dan says, I don't have any friends. Is this game still okay for single players? And I'd
100%.
say, yes, this is perfect if you're a single player and you will join servers with other players, and other players are happy enough to invite you to their lobbies. And I assume higher level players will want to join lower level players and help them out questing, and will even,
And
as
you
they
can
say,
play alone without them. You don't even need to worry about other players. You can go through completely unmolested.
Yeah. The
I mean, you can use your own private session, to be honest, as well, if you wanted to, and completely avoid the online thing altogether.
Well, the private session
if you want to pay behind a paywall,
yeah,
12 quid a month.
Yeah.
12.
I recommend playing on the server
you know
on
what,
your
fuck
own,
that.
but play on your own with other people on the server. Big thumbs up from me.
Yeah, because the thing with that, and actually this just reminded me of a point that I'd like them to introduce, is that the PvP element is only a PvP scenario if you engage back.
If you want it to. Yeah.
So if you're being shot at or blown up, you'll only ever engage with the PvP if you shoot them back. So if you're not into that, just don't shoot them back. But then that being said, my issue of it, I really wanted Fallout 76 to be a hardcore survival game like DayZ. So I would like them to introduce a hardcore mode where you jump on and, you're not a bullet sponge. You lose all your shit if you die. Sort of like DayZ. Like I basically just want DayZ, but on probably a better engine.
That's what we all want.
Also, was it Dan Parr you had said who had asked that?
Dan Reist.
Hop on the Discord, and obviously we're playing it at the moment, so if you need people to play it with, join us.
Exactly.
The more the merrier. We don't bite, well, mostly.
That is why the Discord is there. The Discord is there to find some friends to play games with, and hopefully we can grow a nice, big, happy community with all of our listeners. That is the
Or you can
idea
sit
of
there
it.
in silence like the rest of them do and just watch the news feed. Bye.
And
another question as well that we got asked. Dorsha has sent us a question in via the PlayStation Network's tweet, which is, what's the most impressive video game sequel?
Fuck. I mean, that's probably going to be a whole podcast episode.
It's going to be a deep dive.
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
That is a deep dive.
Yeah, I refuse to answer.
I feel like we could probably make a whole episode on that, so we will save that one for another time.
We will get
Thank
back
you for
to
that suggestion. That's definitely coming back.
Yeah, we will come back to that. Because, there's some good ones, and then there's some very terrible ones we could dive into as well, to be honest.
I suppose it's been enough episodes that we can have a list.
Also,
as much as you hate them.
Guys,
but boys, this is the episode number 10.
Yeah, the episode.
We've
I
made
was
it
just
to
about to
double
say,
digits.
10. We've done well. We haven't yet been libeled.
Not including bonus episodes.
We've done libel.
Sorry, yeah, that's what I meant. We haven't yet been caught out.
Yeah.
You'll never catch us, coppers.
We also have a few shout outs to make from our lovely podcast community on Twitter. We have to shout out our boys at the WASD and Beyond podcast. Those guys, another gaming podcast, American guys, really cool, really fun podcast. Go check them out. And also there's another couple of guys, British guys as well, called the Grief Burrito podcast. And they happily played our trailer for us on their latest podcast as well. So go check those guys out as well.
Did you just say,
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Cheers.
did you just put guys as well?
You are.
What?
He's
You just generalized our podcast as a British podcast,
yeah,
Jordan.
I think he's generalised that all over the YouTube channel as well, actually, and
Has
all
he?
over our branding. It's a British podcast, British
Yeah,
chaps.
Jordan, I'm going to be sending you a little parcel to your
a
house.
cease and
Okay.
desist.
Is it another graphics card?
Yeah, it's
going to be a big heavy box. It's going to be a 2080 Ti, Jordy. Go on, open it.
It might just have a couple of Molotovs in there. Just ignore those.
Ah, right. Well, thank you guys for listening. If you would like to see any more of our content, where would they go? Gary.
Oh, me first. You can find me on YouTube, ENDASH. I'm not the SpongeBob. Please no SpongeBob, no. Please no.
And Rob.
You can find me on YouTube at Rob Coxley.
I also can be found online at twitch.tv/JeordieWiz, where I will be streaming many different games and probably a lot of Fallout 76. And Brendan, where can we find you?
You can find me on YouTube at ENDASH, and my profile picture is SpongeBob.
Brilliant. Thank you guys. We hope you enjoyed this podcast. And yeah, follow us on Twitter at VGC_podcast and join the Discord.
And to play us out, here's a cover of Country Roads by my good friend Danny and her husband on guitar. You can find a link to her Twitter in the description below.
Almost heaven, West Virginia, Blue Ridge Mountain, Shenandoah River. Life is older, older than the trees, younger than the mountains, growing like the breeze. Country roads take me home to the plains. I belong, West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home, country road. All my memories gather round her, miner's lady, stranger to blue water, dark and dusty, painted on the sky, misty taste of moonshine, teardrop in my eye. Country road, take me home to the plains. I belong, West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home, country road. I hear her voice in the morning hour, she calls me. Radio reminds me of my home far away. Driving down the road, I get a feeling you